Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Building a Clone Base. If you guys managed to catch the first episode, I talked a lot about the inspiration and sort of goal of this mock. Some of the story arcs we're going to include the armies, the civilians, some of the senators. I also want to include a little Cut LaQuain sequence with his farm down in the valley of this. I also built a micro build, and here's another look at that. Basically want a city, a big bridge, and a road, and then a valley. And we're going to talk a lot more about that, as today is going to be the first day of actually building. Now, I wanted to start over here on the right with the road that's going to lead up to the bridge. And we used the armored assault tank as a template just to get an idea of how wide the road needed to be. And then we got to work placing a bunch of tile and plate. And you can see there's a ton of exposed stud, and there's a reason for that. It's because I want leeway once we're placing minifigures. And this is probably going to be where the bulk of the droid force is going to be. So we definitely need a lot of studs exposed there. So it was nice to get some pieces laid on and getting a start on that road, but now it's time to deal with the Ikea boxes. And I've decided we're just going to plate everything off. And basically what we're going to do is put a layer of dark gray on the outside as a perimeter, just because that's going to be exposed. That's what you're going to be able to see. And the rest is going to be covered up, so the color doesn't really matter. It's a matter of getting all the tile there, plate, and getting it all covered up. And this took ages. It took the two of us maybe 2 hours, and I didn't record it all. It's pretty boring, but just the middle of the boxes were pretty flimsy, so the bigger plates weren't really sticking. If you buy these, that's something to take note of, but that is a look of everything plated off. Now, mind you, all these ugly colors in the middle are going to be covered up with tile and everything, but for right now, that's how it looks. But it's a nice base layer to the city, and I'm really happy with it. But now it's time to think about that bridge. So I've put a lot of thought into how I'm going to do this bridge, and basically I want to start with a plate layer and just get a very basic bridge built, and it's going to span right there across the valley, and it's going to be diagonal. And as we all know, Lego is pretty tough to work with angles or circles or whatever. So basically what I want to do is tile everything off on both sides and where the support pillars are going to be, and then there's going to be just a couple studs that hold it in place. So after a little bit of trial and error, I got a very basic bridge built out of plate, just a starting point, and once again using that AAT as a template just to make sure everything is in scale. This bridge is really going to set the scale for the rest of the project. I think it's really important that we nail that, just so we can have the vehicles on it and it doesn't look too small or too big. And so it's kind of tough to figure that out, but after a couple hours of working with this plate, we got a very basic bridge. Once again, this is going to be beefed up quite a bit. There's going to be pillars underneath, and the top is going to be covered, but that is a look at it. It's all right. I really like the look of it. It's just going to be a matter of working it into the mock. Now that we have the basic structure of the bridge built, I was thinking of doing the pillars to hold it up, but I got to thinking, and I don't want to do that quite yet. First of all, we're going to have a creek running through that, and if you take a look at the micro build, I actually want a bunch of terrain and rock work on either side and have that creek running through. So I don't necessarily want to just put some pillars there that we're going to have to remove. I want them to be really integrated well into the whole terrain. So first of all, I want to get the water placed, and then in the coming weeks, we can work on getting the terrain built up on both sides. And then we can think of doing the pillars and beefing up the bridge. Now that we've got all the underlying plate down and a nice cascading creek that actually starts 2 bricks high and then goes down to 1 and then goes down to just being 1 plate, I think that's a nice look and adds a little bit of depth to the water. And then we're also going to be covering them in all these cheese slopes. I have a ton of them, so I hope it's going to be able to cover up how much we have there. I'm finishing off this episode with just doing a little bit of the tiling, and I'm not going to do all of it because the water is subject to change, especially the body of water. I think, we might have to move it or switch things around. Just there's so much things we don't really know what we're going to do, especially with the first episode of building, but I think it's a really good start. We got a lot of pieces put on this week, and I'm really excited for what's to come. So anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up episode 2. I just want to extend a huge thank you to all you guys who are still watching at this point in the video. These first episodes can be a bit boring at times, so I'm just trying my best to make them as entertaining as possible, just trying to get through all this filler brick and plate and stuff and the foundations, just so we can get to the fun parts and the storytelling with these mocks. Anyways, hope you enjoyed today. Cheers.